All right, good afternoon. Happy Friday. This statement for you on Mali. The Secretary General strongly condemns the terrorist attack against the Malian Armed Forces in Tessit, in Ansongo region, that took place on the 7th of August. That attack resulted in a high number of casualties and loss of life. He expresses his deepest condolences to the families of the victims and the people of Mali, who continue to pay a high price in their continued fight against terrorism. He wishes a swift recovery to those injured. The Secretary General reiterates the commitment of the United Nations, including through the peacekeeping mission in Mali, to support efforts aimed at restoring peace and stability in the country. The Secretary General, as we've told you, is now on his way back to New York. He should be landing late today. He was in the Republic of Korea earlier today. This morning in Seoul, the Secretary General met with President Yoon Suk-yeol and then with Minister of Foreign Affairs Park Jin. He thanked the President for his invitation to the Republic of Korea and for the rich discussions they had on non-proliferation, the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, the NPT Review Conference, and climate action, among other topics. In a tweet, the Secretary General underscored that the Republic of Korea's strong commitment or solid contribution to peace among nations and peace with nature. The update on the ongoing Black Sea Grain Initiative: the UN-chartered vessel Brave Commander is expected to berth shortly at Ukraine's Yuzhny Pivneny port to collect Ukrainian wheat purchased by the World Food Program. This is the first shipment of humanitarian food assistance under the Black Sea Grain Initiative. The vessel departed Istanbul on the 10th of August after clearing the inspection regime by the Joint Coordination Center. The Brave Commander will discharge its wheat in Djibouti after clearing the JCC protocols in Istanbul on the outbound trip. The wheat will go to the World Food Program's operations in Ethiopia, supporting the Horn of Africa drought response as a threat of famine stalks the drought-hit region. In one of the many areas around the world where near complete halt of Ukrainian grain and food on global market has made life even harder for the families already struggling with rising hunger. And a couple of updates on Cuba. The Emergency Relief Coordinator, Martin Griffiths, announced yesterday the allocation of an emergency cash grant of $100,000 for life-saving relief items following the fire in Matanzas in Cuba. The grant will be channeled through the UN offices in Cuba. Authorities in the country have been fighting a raging fire in the old depot that has displaced 4,744 people, injured over 130, and killed 2 firefighters. And that's according to the Office of the UN Resident Coordinator. And I was asked earlier about the situation in Colombia, and I can tell you that the Secretary General welcomed President Gustavo Petro's efforts to deepen and expand peace in Colombia and has offered the United Nations support to the success of that endeavor. In this vein, the Secretary General's Special Representative for Colombia, Carlos Ruiz Massieu, accompanied a delegation of Colombian government officials to Cuba, where the peace negotiations with the National Liberation Army, otherwise known as ELN with its Spanish acronym, where those discussions are based. Meetings will be taking place today, and we await further developments. The Secretary General appreciates the consistent and commitment to peace in Colombia shown by Cuba and Norway as guarantor countries. Staying in the Caribbean, after 1 year after the devastating earthquake which struck the south of Haiti, our teams on the ground say that building back the region remains challenging. The blockading by gangs of key road from the capital hinders aid delivery to the mostly rural areas, while also limiting local producers' access to services and markets in the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince. We continue to try to find solutions to reach the most vulnerable people, even though the country's $373 million humanitarian appeal for 2022 is only 25% funded. Starting from the day of the earthquake, our humanitarian colleagues launched an immediate response alongside authorities and partners by providing food aid and cash to pay for food for over 450,000 people, many of them displaced. Over 230,000 children in Haiti whose education had been interrupted were able to return to UN-built classrooms. Medical support was provided to 31,000 people, including pregnant women, some of whom gave birth in temporary maternity wards set up by the UN on the grounds of destroyed hospitals. Turning to Somalia, our humanitarian colleagues warn that the country is on the brink of a catastrophe, with hundreds of thousands of people one step away from starvation and famine. This follows the worst drought in 40 years. Catastrophic food insecurity has been confirmed for the first time since 2017, affecting more than 213,000 people. Our humanitarian colleagues note that 7.1 million people, that's 45% of the population, are acutely food insecure, and some 6.4 million men, women, and children, all Somalis, lack access to safe water and sanitation. Since January, at least 500 children have died due to undernutrition and diseases across the country. An estimated 1.5 million children under 5 are acutely malnourished. The humanitarian response continued to be scaled up to avert the worst. From January to June, more than 4 million people have received some assistance, including food, water, sanitation, and hygiene support. As of August 9th, earlier this week, the $1.5 billion Somali humanitarian appeal plan is 73% funded. We thank our donors for their generosity. As humanitarians focus on saving lives and averting famine, there is a critical need to invest in livelihoods, resilience, infrastructure development, climate adaptation, and durable solutions for Somalia. Across that country and northern Kenya and southern and eastern Ethiopia, more than 21 million people are already facing high levels of food insecurity. Following 4 consecutive failed rainy seasons, the likely failure of a 5th one could be catastrophic. A quick update from our team in the Philippines, led by Resident Coordinator Gustavo Gonzalez. The team there is supporting the authorities in tackling the impact of inflation, which has doubled in the past 7 months, which has also touched on food and transportation prices. Our team on the ground is strengthening authorities' data collection and monitoring system to improve policies and immediate responses that address the disproportionate impact on those who are already poor and vulnerable. The team on the ground is concerned that the country, which is about 95% dependent on imported fertilizers, which has seen prices triple. WFP, the Food Agriculture Organization, the International Labor Organization are enhancing local households level data gathering to complement national data and better tailored policies for immediate responses, including boosting agriculture, food security, and sustainable energy. This builds on lessons from a recent joint sustainable development goals fund-backed initiative to better prepare the country to respond to future shocks and hit the poorest, which hit the poorest the hardest. Today is International Youth Day, and in a message, the Secretary General notes that this year's theme, intergenerational solidarity, creating a world for all ages, reminds us of a basic truth. We need people of all ages, young and old alike, to join forces to build a better world for all. Mr. Guterres said that solidarity and collaboration are more essential than ever as our world faces a series of challenges that threaten our collective future. We need all hands on deck to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and build a better, more peaceful future we all seek. He calls for all to join hands across generations to break down barriers, work as one to achieve a more equitable and inclusive and just world. And as a reminder, on Monday, our guest here via video will be Ramiz Alakbarov, who is, you know, the Deputy Special Representative and Resident Humanitarian Coordinator for Afghanistan. He will brief you virtually from Kabul as we reach 1 year since the Taliban take over in the Afghan capital. Ms. Lederer.
Thanks. A follow-up on Afghanistan. Could we get an update on specifically what the United Nations is doing to try to promote girls' education, higher education with the Taliban?
Yeah. I mean, we have, first of all, I mean, I think that's something that Mr. Alakbarov will be able to answer. but we continue to scale up our programs to try and our advocacy with the authorities in Taliban to promote political inclusivity and to promote human rights, and especially, of course, the rights of girls and women.
The question I was going to ask was about Sierra Leone. I believe there have been some serious protests there over inequality, food, and other serious issues. Do you have any comment from the
We're obviously, I think, following with concern the reports of violence that we've seen between the protesters and the police. I think it is important for all involved to initiate an inclusive dialogue to address the grievances, and I would also encourage you to look at the statement put out yesterday afternoon by Michelle Bachelet, our Human Rights High Commissioner, on that. Okay. Oh, Ephraim, please. I thought this was going to be an ED-only briefing, but I could only wish. Yeah.
Do you have any updates for us on Yemen? First, the talks. How are the talks going for reopening Taz Road and also the Safar? I know $6 million.
Yeah, I mean, on opening up the roads around Taiz and other governorates, those discussions are still ongoing. What we have seen since this ceasefire has been agreed to is good amount of flights going in and out of Sana'a airport, I think close to 30, if I'm not mistaken. Also, a good amount of oil coming into Hodeidah to meet the needs of the Yemeni civilians in that area. On the Safar tanker, I'll try to get you some more details. Sir.
Yes, a quick question. Today, Kiev asked UN to send an investigation team to Olenivka prison, where the Ukrainian prisoners were hosted and got attacked. Because I think this happened like a couple of days ago. And any update on the investigation team?
The mechanics of putting together the fact-finding missions are ongoing, both internally and also in discussions with the Ukrainian and the Russian governments. Okay. Paulina, and I wish you all a very happy Friday. Oh, Evelyn, I think you had a question. Sorry. Barely. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. The WFP ship going to Djibouti, it borders Somalia. Do you expect it to go to Somalia? And do you expect other ships? And can you tell us again what that ship contains?
Sure. That ship contains wheat. It will bring wheat into Djibouti and then make its way to Ethiopia as part of the Horn of Africa relief efforts. We can check with WFP, but I think they may have other channels of getting food into Somalia. Obviously, we very much hope there'll be other humanitarian ships that will go in, but it is worth reminding also that the ships that we have seen go in and out, the commercial ones, have helped to lower the price on the global market of wheat, corn, and other essential grain.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Paulina, all yours. Go ahead.
How much wheat?
No, I don't think did I mention it? If you don't pay attention to what I say, how do you expect me to pay attention to what I say? No, I think
23,000.
yeah, I think it is. That's exactly it. I think it's 23. Yeah. And it should. I mean, I was looking at it on the tracker. It should be. Its docking is actually imminent.